Welcome and thank you for joining in. I'm Andy from PageOptimizer, and in this free video course, I'm going to teach you the scientific on-page SEO method. The technique was invented by my trusted business partner and SEO master, Kyle Roof. It's easy to implement and it's very, very powerful. So powerful, we've used it to rank sites #1 in Google in competitive niches using nothing but nonsense on the page.
Have a close look at this page. It doesn't make any sense, right? Would you believe we got this page to #1 in Google for a competitive cosmetic surgery keyword using the scientific on-page method? I'm going to show you how in the next section.
More on that later. But first, who am I? I've been doing SEO for many years and I run an international SEO agency with my partner in crime, Kyle. We do all kinds of SEO, but one of our secret weapons is this on-page technique which I'm going to show you. More impressive though is that Kyle Roof is one of the world's leading SEO testers. And over the past 2 years, he's done more than 250 tests on the Google algorithm. Google Kyle Roof SEO and you'll see for yourself. The scientific method, which I'm going to show you, is born from the learnings from these tests, which proved beyond a doubt what are and what are not the most important on-page ranking factors. So whether you're a seasoned SEO professional, a copywriter, a marketer, you run or work in an agency, or you're an affiliate marketer, this method is going to help you. So let's get to it. First, let's talk about the old school way of doing on-page SEO. You've done your keyword research, you know your target term, you've built your page, and you've put your keyword in the title tag, in your H1, you've sprinkled it through your paragraph text, maybe in a couple of other H tags and in your image alt tag. If you're in the top 10% of SEOs, maybe you've added LSI words to your page and measured keyword density on the page even. Maybe you used a tool that tells you where to place the keywords. But where does that tool get the data from that it's basing its suggestions on? Did it even factor in super important signals such as word count and keyword variations? Or that every keyword lives in its own unique competitive environment? Because this is what sets the old school on-page method apart from the scientific method. With the scientific on-page method, we like to say that the secret to ranking is hiding in plain sight. Google is showing us how to win keywords. Just search any keyword in Google and the secret is right there in what those top pages are doing. The headache is that to extract all that ranking signal data from the top pages and to make any sense out of it is actually quite a project. First, you need to know what the ranking signals are that you want to measure. Then you need to count them, compare them, average them, and you have to do that for every single competitor. Of course, there's tools out there that can help you, but it's still quite a project, which is why nobody does on-page SEO this way. So we built a tool that does all of this for you. You feed our tool your target term, your page, your competitors, and we crunch the numbers and then score your page out of 100%. Then we give you a breakdown of action items, which is essentially your roadmap for improved rankings. I know what you're thinking, this is starting to get a little salesy, I'm out of here. But that's not what this is about. I'm going to show you a method and it works. You're more than welcome to go out and implement the method using a variety of tools that I can even recommend you. But as I know how much time you'll save by using PageOptimizer, I'm going to show you the method using that. We built this tool because there was no tool out there that gave us accurate on-page SEO scoring and recommendations, and this frustrated the hell out of us. We felt like we were in the dark about whether our pages were well optimized or not. We had no trusted way to compare how well our page was optimized compared to another page. Now we use PageOptimizer on every single page that we work on, and a bunch of other SEOs are starting to as well. If you want to jump right in and start using PageOptimizer right now, go for it. Just go to pageoptimizer.pro and click on Start Here up in the top, and you can get right into it. However, I recommend you stick around for a few more minutes because I'm going to show you some tips and tricks that are really going to give you an edge over your SEO competition. And when you finish the course, I'm also going to give you a free offer to PageOptimizer so you can try the scientific on-page SEO method yourself. In the next section, I'm going to walk you through a case study showing you how we use the scientific on-page method to rank a page in a competitive cosmetic surgery niche. Curious to know how we did it? Stick around. Thanks for joining me for section 2 of the scientific on-page method. In this section, I'm going to tell you a story about a little town in Texas and how a bunch of SEOs up to no good and seeking glory shook up this town's search results. Let's begin. Maybe you're familiar with the SEO Signals Lab. It's Stephen Kang's Facebook group and it has about 30,000 members in it. It's one of the big ones. A little while back this year, Stephen Kang had a contest. It was called the Rank or Go Home Challenge. The challenge was simple. 60 days to rank a new site for the search term rhinoplasty Plano, which is basically nose jobs for Plano, a little town in Texas, USA. The winner was the one whose site ranked highest at the end of 60 days, with a max budget of $1,000 to spend. We entered and our goal was to win, but we didn't want to win by pumping our site with PBN links and other short-term black hat SEO tricks. We wanted to win using the scientific on-page method and prove to everyone how powerful this method is. So we registered a domain, we built a fake business site, and we got to work. Here's what we did, and it cost nowhere near $1,000. We looked at the SERPs for rhinoplasty Plano. We found the term had about 700 searches a month, and several real cosmetic surgeons in the area were already ranking for the term. We noticed that it was mostly inner pages that were ranking, so we decided not to optimize the homepage, but to create an inner page to optimize. We built up the content for the page, and then we followed the scientific on-page method to optimize the content for rhinoplasty Plano. We ran the content through the PageOptimizer tool and followed the recommendations until the page got a score near to 100%. So in the screenshot here, you can see the original score from PageOptimizer was 57.4%. That scored an F. Then following the instructions from the tool, we updated the text, we fixed all of the signals that it recommended, and we got the page up to a score of 92.2%. We also managed to get a fictitious Google My Business profile verified, and even managed to get some reviews on it, although they were soon deleted by Google. We built out a few business citations using Bright Local and using our fictitious business address. And that was actually about it. No PBNs, no guest posting, no comment spamming, in fact, hardly any off-page SEO at all. And then we waited to see what would happen. And the competition ended at the 60-day mark and we didn't win. In fact, we were nowhere near page 1. But fortunately, neither was anybody else. The winner was on page 7 of Google, and we were on page 8. Absolutely nothing spectacular, and probably 2 weeks went by like that. Then things started to get interesting. Our site started to go up, and up, and up, and then we were at the bottom of page 2. And here you can see us at the bottom of page 2. Then our fictitious business appeared in the Google Maps, and we're in position 7 on page 1. And then Stephen Kang published a post in the SEO Signals Lab group. Here's the post. Latest update. Here is what the data tells me. Out of 27 contestants, only 9 are on the radar. Out of 9, Kyle is the latest winner with number 1 on Maps and number 7 organic. He is winning with Latin copy, which is amazing. Here is my conclusion. You can't beat an SEO who is always testing. Forget theories and speculation. Data-driven SEO wins. And then we kept on going up to position 5, and then soon enough to position 1. Here you can see us in position 1, up here. And then we took out the branded knowledge graph. Here's a knowledge graph on the right-hand side, which you don't see every day for a non-branded term. And now, a few months on, the rankings remain. Maps number 1, local organic number 1, and knowledge graph number 1. And there's a couple of funny things about this. First, the other pages that had done well in the competition were pumped full of links. Last check I did in Ahrefs showed that our closest competing page had about 120 referring domains going into its target page. And we have 1. The second thing, let's take a look at this page. So you can see that the exact match term is up the top of the page. And we've got some variations and LSI terms just sprinkled lightly through the page. But 95% of the page is complete nonsense. It's Latin lorem ipsum text. So based on everything that we're fed about focusing on quality content, this page actually shouldn't rank. The engagement metrics are not good, and the bounce rate is high, and the click-through rate is really low for its position. Yet it stays at position 1, and it beats genuine businesses and pro SEOs that were competing for the term. Why? Because using the scientific on-page method, we were able to give Google exactly what its algorithm wanted, and we were rewarded for it. Shall we go and do one ourselves? Great. I'll see you in the next section where we're going to take a page which I built specifically for this course, and we're going to optimize it using the on-page scientific method. See you there. Welcome to section 3 of the Scientific On-Page Method course. Thanks for sticking with us. I promise you it'll be worth your time. In this section, I'm going to run through how the scientific on-page method works using a page I've created for this video. At the end of the video series, I'll get you to run through your own page and score yourself. I'll be straight with you, most people don't score higher than 50% on their first run, but our goal is to get you into the 90s. That's where the magic happens. Let's get started. Okay, so here we are. In the case of our example today, I've created a test page for us to optimize. I'm an Aussie, in case you couldn't tell, so what better topic to create a page on than a recipe for one of my favorite snacks? How to make a Vegemite and cheese sandwich. I built and optimized this page best I could for the term, only using my intuition, and I had a little look into what some of the other competing pages were doing, but I've done nothing scientific yet. At the end of the video today, we'll see how good my intuition actually was, and we're going to score it. I'm sorry to all those people out there who wanted to actually learn how to make a Vegemite and cheese sandwich, but again, we've only got lorem ipsum text here. This is for two reasons. One, I wanted to again prove to you that Google cannot read. It's an algorithm, and if we satisfy the algorithm, we can rank, regardless of whether the content actually makes sense. So let me say that in another way. Spending your time writing high quality content will not necessarily help you rank any better than someone spitting out garbage, as long as it satisfies Google's algorithm. We've proven this time and time again. So, disclaimer, I'm not giving you permission to go and publish garbage content. Although it may work for ranking, it's obviously not going to convert well into readers and customers. And reason number 2, I'm working with nonsense text, is that for the example today, I just need to make fast and easy updates to the page content. And that's just going to be easier if the content doesn't actually make any sense to begin with. But when you do this, you're going to really want to take your time, especially if you're working on a real page. Okay, I'm in the dashboard of PageOptimizer and I'm going to create a project. Here are the steps we're going to run through. In your Chrome browser, you're going to need your target page and Google open at the country code relevant to your market. In my case, it's going to be google.com.au. The first step is creating our project and entering the input data into PageOptimizer. The next step is to validate all of our URLs are correct and then run the analysis. And then finally, PageOptimizer will score our page against our top ranking competitors. So here, the project name is just for your own records. So we'll just call this Vegemite page example. And we're just going to take a look at this. It's an HTTPS. And there's no www. And the domain is just PageOptimizer Pro. So now we're just going to add that site, and that now appears on the left-hand side of the screen. So now we've got that project in there, we need to add the actual target page. This is just some best practices. I suggest you take your time and read through these because it's going to help you out. So now I've created the project, we're going to add the target page here. And again, I'm just going to call that Vegemite sandwich post. And we'll just grab the whole URL this time. And we'll pop that in here. And you can see that it's truncated the domain name. Next, we're going to put in our keyword. And here we're going to talk very quickly about variation keywords. Variations are a tested and proven ranking factor. These are not related keywords, they're not LSI keywords, they're closely related words to our exact match phrase up here. Often they're partial matches or really closely related synonyms to our exact match keyword. Where do we get these terms from? Google actually provides them to us, so we know that they're right. Using these correctly will really help you win your exact match phrase, and they're really important. Most people spend too much effort optimizing for their exact match and not enough for their variations. Top ranking sites, more often than not, will use their exact match phrase very sparingly. It's the use of the variations which most of them have done really well. So we're going to select the target region here for our variations. If the exact country is not in the list, pick the region closest to the local language that you're targeting. For instance, we don't yet have South Africa in the list, but if you're targeting South Africa, then probably the dialect closest would be like UK. Yeah. Okay, so that's fetched the variations. Great, okay. So these are all the variations from our keyword, how to make a Vegemite and cheese sandwich. You can see there's quite a few. We're just gonna have a quick look through those. You have the option to delete any if they don't look right, but only if it's like something weird like a symbol or something like that. Very rarely will you actually have to delete any. You can also add a variation term below here, but again, 99 times out of 100 you won't have to. It's only if something that should be there, really should be there, but isn't, such as, for instance, if you're optimizing a lawyer site and the word attorney doesn't turn up in this list, for instance, you could maybe add it then. Now it's time to add your competitors. This is by far the most important part of the on-page scientific method. You need to be comparing apples with apples, not with mangoes. So let's go over how you do that. Let's head on over to Google. In my case, I'm trying to optimize this page for Australia, so I'm going to google.com.au. I'm going to put in my search term and I'm going to analyze the top results. So what I'm looking for are pages that are similar to mine. In this case, I'm publishing a recipe post, so I'm mostly interested in other recipe posts. I'm also looking for pages which have done their on-page SEO well. So I'm going to do an eyeball test of the top 10 sites here. Do the pages have a lot of content on them? Does it look like they're trying with their content? Let's say big directory sites such as Yelp, or big e-commerce sites such as Amazon, or if you're optimizing for a real estate, real estate industry, real estate portal sites, they're not often ranking because of good on-page SEO, but just because they're so big. Wikipedia articles would fit into this category as well. You're not Wikipedia, so Wikipedia is not a competitor. Don't include them. If you're optimizing for a local printing business, for instance, compare yourself against other local printing business sites that are performing well. And lastly, in case it's not obvious, if you're already ranking well for the target phrase, don't compare yourself to sites below you. If you do that, you're only going to be building a roadmap that may have the opposite effect to what you want. And one last hot tip. If you're having trouble finding good on-page competitors, put your search into quotation marks like this. This will help filter out pages that are not doing their on-page SEO very well, and it'll help you to find those on-page SEO gems. So first in Google is this taste.com.au recipe article in position 0. So we'll have a look at that. Looks like it could be a competitor. Next we have the people also ask section, so we'll ignore that. Next, we have what looks like a recipe blog post. Videos, we'll ignore that. Another recipe blog post. Another one, and then we have that same featured snippet article that we've already got. Okay, so you can have up to 10 competitors as long as they're all apples, not mangoes. But in this case, for this exercise, we're just going to choose 4. For now. So let's just have a quick look and make sure that these are all
comparable sites. So what I did when I built this page is, although I didn't scientifically optimize the page, I did eyeball those pages that are appearing at the top for the search term, and I sort of built the page with a similar structure. So I looked at roughly kind of how many images they had on their pages. I looked like roughly how much text was on the page. I noticed that a lot of them had these bulleted lists, that they had videos, and also I noticed that they often had comments. So I added comments to my blog post as well. All right, next in line for the competitor, lots of content, lists, definitely a competitor. That's definitely a recipe post, and so is this. Great. Okay, so we'll take each one of these competitors and we'll add it in here. Now, what the tool is going to do is it's going to look into what each of these competitors are actually doing on their pages. Remember I said earlier that the secret to ranking is hiding in plain sight, right? So now we've got all our data in place from the top. We've got the target URL, we've got our exact match term that we're trying to rank for, we've got all of our different keyword variations in here. We've set the location as Australia, and all of our competitors that we want to analyze are in there as well. So lastly, we just need to validate those to check that all of those URLs are valid. And the only other thing that you might like to do at this point is to choose a focus site or two. A focus site is a page that's really similar to the one that you have and is doing really well. So it's kind of like one that you would like to especially analyze out of this choice. In our case, they're all kind of the same, so I'm not actually going to choose focus site. But if you wanted to, you just click on one of these or two of these and they'll be the focus sites. Terrific. Okay, so now we can run the page analysis and we'll see how well we've actually optimized that Vegemite cheese sandwich recipe page. The tool is going to score our page out of 100%, and in the next section, we're going to see how we scored. And then we're going to run through that analysis and make the necessary changes to pimp that on-page optimization using real data-backed science. I can't wait. All right, so let's submit this analysis and I will see you in the next section.
Welcome back to section 4 of the scientific on-page method. I'm excited because we're about to find out how I did with my intuition, optimizing for how to make a Vegemite and cheese sandwich in my example blog post. Then we're going to look through the analysis and follow the tool's recommendations and try to get the optimization score into the 90% range. That's our goal for this section. Let's go. Okay, so here we are back in the tool and the analysis is done and ready for us to take a look. So this is our project, this is our target page, and if we click on view page, we're going to take a look at our results. All right, so we scored a 66% on how well this how to make a Vegemite and cheese sandwich page has been optimized. And that's pretty good for a first run. Let's take a look here. So if we look at the overall scoring, we can see that the exact keyword had a little bit of under optimization and a little bit more of the over. And in terms of the keyword variations, we had a bit under and a bit more over. So something important to note here is that a lot of SEOs think of a page as being either over or under optimized for a keyword, but in actual fact, that hardly ever happens. A page is normally both over and under. Some signals will be over and then others will be under. And it's about tuning the page to exactly what Google is really looking for. So we have a list of action items waiting for us. Let's go and check them out right now. Before we begin, a few best practices to make sure we get the most out of this powerful data. First, always do the increases first. That's the under-optimized signals here. With your decreased signals, be really careful. Do all of your increases and then don't touch anything for one Google crawl or so. So that's about like 7 to 14 days, depending on your site. And then check for rankings improvements. And you can do that using your Search Console or through your rank tracking software. Often it's going to take at least a couple of crawls to see the full improvement of your changes that you've made. So if you remember, for instance, the rhinoplasty plano example, that took actually like over a couple of months before we saw the full benefits to that. But that was, of course, a new site. So if you still can't get rankings to move after a couple of weeks and you have some decrease or over-optimized signals that are pretty strong, then consider slowly making decreases of those signals from the ones that are most over-optimized to least in that order. So let's take a look through these results. Firstly, let's look at word count. That's where we always begin. So our current word count on the page was 892 and the target average from our competitors is 903. So you might just want to leave it. I'm just gonna, for example's sake, I'm just gonna add a little bit more to kind of get it within range. So maybe we add 10 to 20 more words in there. So if we go into that page, now we're in the editor. This is Thrive Architect, site builder for WordPress, which I can highly recommend. And I prepared some lorem ipsum earlier. We want to grab 20 words here. So let's check the word count. 16, that's perfect. And we'll just find somewhere to pop that. Save the changes. If you need to increase the word count a lot, like a lot more than what we just did there, then add the extra paragraphs and any extra subheaders that you're adding, and then retest the page by hitting rerun analysis, because the instructions are going to change a little bit based on that extra word count. Okay, so next we're going to take a look at the exact match signals here. Please do it in this order. Okay, so there's nothing to increase here because we've already put the exact match keyword in our meta title and in our H1. You can see we scored a 1 here. And by the way, down the left-hand side, these are all of the on-page signals which we're analyzing on the page. And these are all tested and proven ranking factors. So you know that when you're not putting work in here, that's not going to make any difference. This is where all of the testing which Kyle's done has really come into use. So it says here that we should reduce the number of exact keywords in our H2s by 1. Firstly, we're not doing reductions at this point. And secondly, I believe that on this page, if we have a look, that extra H2 tag is down here, and that's actually built into the template, and so it's not super easy to change. So regardless, I'm just actually gonna leave that one there. All right, so next we're gonna take a look at the variations here. There was nothing really to change for the exact match. And normally, I think I mentioned this before, you'll often find that the exact match does not need to be used many times on the page compared with your target competitors. Okay, so with the variations, any of these words up the top can be used interchangeably. It doesn't actually matter from an SEO point of view. So that makes our job a little bit easier. And then again, remember, we're only focusing on the increases. So what we can see here is target min and target max. So we're looking at the minimum from our competitors and the maximum, and we can choose somewhere in between, depending on whether we want to go more aggressive or less aggressive. So you can choose something in the middle, or you can weight it towards the less aggressive or the more aggressive, depending on what you want to achieve. I always advise that it's better to err on the side of conservative if you have that choice, because you can always increase more over time. So the first thing we have to do here, it says, is increase the number of variations of our keyword in the H3 by 2. And I've already copied the variation words into here. So if we just add cheese, I think this was an H3, and make, save that. And the next, it's asked us to increase the H4 by 1. We'll see, I believe this is an H4. Yep, we can see that's an H4. So we'll just go and grab sandwich, pop sandwich in there, and we'll save that. And then lastly, it's asking us to put one of the variations that we have in bold. So we'll just take one of those, Vegemite, and we'll put that in here. We'll make that bold. So I've just added that in bold, and now we're going to hit save. And that should be it. So now it's time to rerun the analysis. Hit that. And that's just going to take a minute, so we're just going to fast forward through this. Awesome, so that's now rerun, and we've improved the score to into the 70s now. And you can see that all of those under optimized signals have gone. So we're just dealing with the over optimized or the decreases. And that's actually great because we don't want to touch those for now. So we're exactly where we want to be. We can't quite get into the 90% just yet, but that's okay because we understand why. So one thing which I just wanted to point out, if you have an issue with word count, sometimes you just can't get it up or down to meet the exact target. In that case, there's a workaround here. We call it alternative recommendations. So if the word count is plus or minus like 20% out of range, then and you just can't do anything about it, then you can use this section here. It's the exact same format, but it's adjusting for the fact that you can't increase or decrease that word count. So that's it in terms of the optimization. So we can just actually leave that. I'm just going to try and forget about it for a couple of weeks. And it's time now just to stick around for the final section coming right up, because I'm going to give you a once-off limited time offer that will give you free access to the tool. And for those who sign up, I'm going to reveal one final bonus hack that you can use when you're creating new pages that will actually tell you how to build the page to give it a big head start against competing pages that have already got age and trust behind them. So I look forward to seeing you soon.
Congratulations! You've nearly made it through to the end of the course. I bet you're already feeling empowered by the new skills you've gained and will never look at on-page SEO the same way again. Let's review quickly what we've learned. That the secret to ranking is hiding in plain sight. You just need the tools to be able to see it. Doing your on-page SEO the scientific way can massively reduce your dependency on expensive and time-consuming risky backlink signals, in some cases to nothing. We learnt how to collect and input the data you need to run the scientific on-page method using PageOptimizer, and how to read that data and implement the recommendations for maximum rankings and traffic boosts. And now you've upgraded your on-page skills, I hope you can use this method to impress new clients, to use in your SEO audits, to improve your reputation and credibility, use the scoring to demonstrate easily to non-SEOs badly optimized pages versus well-optimized pages, and most of all, use this method to get better SEO results for yourself, for your clients, for your boss, and make more money and be more successful. The best part is that today the tool will cost you nothing. I'm going to give you 5 free reports, which is enough to boost traffic to 2 of your web pages in serious need of better rankings and traffic. You're going to get access to the tool and 5 included reports, one final bonus hack that you can use when you're creating new pages that will actually tell you how to build the page to give it a big head start on your competition. I'm going to give you 10% off ongoing subscriptions, which start at only $10 a month. You'll also get concrete on-page optimization scoring to finally give you the clarity that you've been looking for. You're also going to get access to pro tutorial videos and webinars, and access to premium technical support. Finally, I'm going to give you 100% 14-day money-back guarantee, no questions asked, and you can cancel at any time. Here are a few things that other people had to say about their experiences with the tool so far. Here's Daryl. After playing with PageOptimizer, it's pretty clear this tool packs quite the punch. I've managed to secure some pretty sizable wins just through some simple on-page changes that never even occurred to me. No questions, Kyle Roof's formula for on-page works. This next one's from Sherman. Thanks Kyle for developing PageOptimizer, a SaaS tool that's easy to understand, execute, and deliver great improvements to my on-page results. I recently updated my target pages and then forgot about them as I had other projects needing my attention. Today a competitor called me asking if I'd like to team up. How the heck did you find me? I remembered the updates I'd done to my page, Googled myself, only to find that I'd gone up to the top of maps and local search across 6 keyword variations. One of those keywords even kicked up my knowledge panel to the right. Thanks for making on-page SEO easy, fun, accurate, and quick to deliver results. So, there's the proof. Click the button below and get started. If you have any doubts or questions I haven't covered, please reach out to me by email. It's andy@hvseo.co. Now get optimizing.